No long intros.
You get to 300 and you don't give the long intro?
No.
Are we like those like 80s and 90s cartoons that used to have like those really long intros, and then it was like, let's just do the first image and Batman.
As they should. What do you need a long, like, you have what, 19 minutes of content to make, and you're gonna spend 45 seconds of that just playing a song that I can listen to anywhere else? I'm fine. Let's just jump to the show.
Oh, you're that's like people who love the X-Men animated series, which was not even any music.
Whoa. I'm not
that one got cut at one point.
Whoa, I'm not saying don't play the X-Men the whole way through. That one you have to.
They used to cut that one sometimes.
I mean, yeah, but that's just satanic.
That's sacrilege.
Yeah,
like, that's not right.
You have to play that one the whole way through. God intended it to be played, and that's just how things go.
I used to have it as my main ringtone for like some of my key friends, and they'd be like, "Why do you always take forever to get your phone?" I'm like, no, bro. You let it play as long before, like, I'm listening to it. Like, if I don't answer now, I'll hang up. So I'm gonna answer now, but like I would listen through.
You're that guy. You're the guy who used to let his friends wait. Just like, yo, I'm trying to reach this dude. He's not answering. He's just sitting there.
Straight up.
You're crazy.
Especially for like the first like month that I had it, because I was such a because I was like, fun fact, I had like the shittiest phone. Like I had like slide up phones or flip up phones like until like the 4G of like the iPhone 4S or whatever.
Okay.
So like I had like a very significant period of time of like nothing good about my phone. And then like within getting that, the first person told me, it's like, oh, you can make custom ringtones. I'm like, you can make custom ringtones? Like, you can download custom ringtones. Like, you can download custom, like right away. I'm like, X-Men. I heard it, like, delicious. I didn't even do anything else with my phone. I just listened to that. It was everything for like a week.
So I feel like we should start the show off by addressing the elephant in the room. The world's on fire, at least the United States. So to all our American friends out there who are dealing with the stresses and anger that come with a lot of what's happening, here in Canada, we support you. We want to be there for you. As you can imagine, it's unfortunate to say thoughts and prayers because there's not really anything else we can do as Canadians. I mean, we could donate and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, as Canadians, I don't think I can do anything else to help move forward the laws as they pertain to the United States. I don't have that power. But you know, your fellow citizens do. So hopefully, if you can get your fellow citizens to stand up and work with you to try and make things better, maybe that can be how things get better. I think, you know, I was talking to my buddy the other day, and I said to him, I was just like, I'm a little confused as to why more people weren't talking about what was coming down the pipeline, because it was, you know, that original release of the plan to overturn Roe v. Wade came out some weeks ago, and I was kind of like, oh, I expected the streets to be running with people angry, upset, and speaking up about this constantly every day. And as soon as that came out, I kind of didn't hear as much, and I was very confused. And I imagine it was more just the fact that the media didn't cover it, and the media was trying to keep it, because, you know, it's not deep state stuff, but some of the media companies are in cahoots with the things that are being done. So sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. You were about to say.
No, I was just agreeing with you. I was just saying that. And the only thing that sucks is because you said thought and prayers, but some people are using the concept of prayers / religion as like a defense as to why with some of this stuff. And I'm like,
right. And
I don't agree. I understand what you guys are trying to do, and I understand, but like at the end of the day, like, for example, there's there was one easy example that I always knew of, but there was one that was introduced to me by my partner that I was like, oh, I never even thought of that, and that's fucked up. Is one, I mean, obviously there's victims of rape that just don't deserve to have it, and there's obviously the concept of, like, you know, sometimes, you know, I don't want to say you should have an scapegoat, but like if you see two young kids who do love each other, but it's like, yo, we're not ready, or we don't like, you know what I mean? Like
but
accidents can happen.
Here's the thing, Dave. I'll one up this. None of that matters. It's no one's business why anyone wants to do it. You don't need any excuse. You don't need any details. Every person has the right to do what they want with their own bodies. Period. I don't need any explanation for anything. You don't want to have a kid. You do not have to have a kid. Point final. Last point. Like that's the thing that I don't understand.
And I agree with you on all those counts, but the thing that is kind of fucked up about this, and this is something that's definitely not being covered, or else at least I've not heard it, because if I like when my girlfriend mentioned to him, like, I don't feel like this is being covered enough, but there's a certain amount of people. I don't want to say a number. I do know it's more. I believe it was like, I think it was 19 or more. I don't know. But like in the last few days when it came into effect, there are certain procedures that happen because, like, you know, in getting pregnant, you could get like pregnant and not know, and it doesn't necessarily go to the female area that it's supposed to. And I'm only saying female area because it might be the fallopian tube that I think it gets stuck in. But
you're talking about ectopic. Are you talking about ectopic pregnancies?
No, I'm talking about it's just there's sometimes pregnancies, and I again, I don't want to. I'm not good with the terminology, like the biology and all that stuff. But there's at one point in time when it's being formed, it could be formed in like a little higher or a little lower, therefore causing a problem.
Yeah,
and therefore causing internal bleeding.
Ectopic pregnancies, Dave.
Oh, that's what that is. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to say that.
No, I know. I tried to say it 3 times, and you were like,
sorry. It's because I didn't want to lose my train of thought. It's just because people were dying because doctors were like, it's the law, so you're internally bleeding, but I got to actually make sure that it's, you know, related to this, in which case that's the only time I could give you an abortion. And people were dying waiting.
Yes. So there was
fucked up.
Yeah, there was a story.
Sorry, no. I made it past. I made it past 5 minutes.
7 minutes. There was a story of a group of nurses, and one nurse posted specifically that a woman came in. She came in at 11:50 or something. Because of the way the law worked at midnight, the kill switch law switched over. So in that state, abortions of any kind were illegal. There was no legislation to cover ectopic pregnancies or special medically needed abortions. And, you know, they had to wait while this person was sitting there. And like you said, this person had internal bleeding and was dying. And the doctor was talking to lawyers and trying to figure out if they could save this person's life. And the thing I find insane is, as I understand the Hippocratic Oath, your job as a doctor is to save a life. I don't understand how any judge would say, well, you weren't allowed to perform that abortion in that instance that was going to save that person because abortions are illegal, period. Yes, but that person was going to die, and that pregnancy was not viable. That's the other thing about some of the like ectopic pregnancies. Like my partner was explaining to me, because my partner also works in the hospital system and specifically in neonatal care and stuff like that. The pregnancies that are done outside of, as you were saying, outside of the area of the womb, again, you and I are not medical, so we don't know this. So I say this with my limited understanding, but as I understand it, most are not viable. The child will not form in that space.
Yeah.
So you're saying legally you can't perform an abortion on a child that is not going to be born at all, even at the risk of this person dying. That is obviously the stupidest thing you've ever, and it makes absolutely no sense as a system to even have to ask a lawyer or a judge, can I perform this life-saving procedure on this person who does not have a viable pregnancy and will die from this? It's
like making a law to protect murder by instigating a murder, essentially. Like it's like I said before, it's a fucked up thing. And I didn't even it's obvious we're guys. There's certain things we don't necessarily always think about throughout life. And there's some of these things that come up that get brought to your attention. Like, this doesn't sound like a good idea in general. And like, that's first and foremost, one thing that always annoyed me. You'd see guys talk about it. Like, I don't feel like it's a male decision. if I'm just going to be honest, like if we're going to talk about it, I don't feel like it's a male decision to be made. But if we're even going to talk about talking about it,
but again, it's not even the female decision outside of the person who's making that decision.
Exactly.
That's my thing. Like,
yeah, no, I agree with you. But like, but I'm saying like if we were to like sit back and be like, look, this is a problem. We actually have to talk about it.
Yeah.
Wouldn't people who are fully equipped and like both fully equipped on a physical and on a mental level or educational level, so like female doctors,
Dave.
Why like, you know, just logical. I'm just trying to think of logic.
What is this thing you're trying to do where you're trying to make sense that women who understand women's bodies should have a say on women?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that,
that is what you're saying.
No, I'm saying that the a lot of the people who made this happen,
yes,
are like men and stuff.
Yes.
So I find it fucked
with you.
up.
You're saying that women should be allowed to make decisions
for themselves,
women's bodies, and even at that, that's only if they want to. That's only if women as a group decide they want women to make these decisions. Exactly. Otherwise, it should be no one's business.
But that's exactly. But that's what I'm saying. Like the hierarchy of how that should have worked is how that should have worked.
Oh, like, I know that. You know? I'm agreeing with you.
It's just nuts.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
We live in, and I say it regularly, the dumbest timeline.
Oh, 100%.
That's the thing. I don't think anyone could tell me we don't live in the dumbest timeline.
The more woke you get, the more it hurts.
But it's not a wokeness thing. Because
no, but I'm saying like the more you become enlightened, the more you're enlightened to also the fact that the world is just dumb. We're not where
we are. Oh well,
yeah. Like the more aware you become, i.e. the more woke, the more painful it is to like deal with the shit.
Yeah, you know? yeah. But I just think we're in a place now where like we just live in the dumbest timeline.
100%.
We live in a world where decisions are being made that make absolutely no sense for anyone. And you know, and we're also asking everyone to have the brain power to deal with everything that's happening. And with that brain power, we're just like, so hey, by the way, there's a war going on that people haven't really spoken about in weeks. That's and there's the States, and then we're still finding Indigenous children buried in Canada, and we're still seeing concentration camps in China, and we're like the list of things that are happening in the world that we should be like, hey man, we really need to pump the brakes. And
from changing language constitutions with not letting anyone know to like wars that are going on that no one's talking about, that's causing the horrible economy that we're dealing with.
Well, I don't even talk about Quebec anymore in comparison, because what
I don't want to. I'm just saying like as small as small as like the range, right. the level of
like the thing we're going through feels so small in comparison to everything else that's happening. Because it's like, oh, well, mind you, it is some weird xenophobic shit too that is problematic, because it's the seed of those ideas that lead to major issues in other ways. And that's
what I'm saying.
That's you're right. That concerns me, because like, to go around and be like, I don't believe in multiculturalism. It's like this entire country is based on multiculturalism.
Specifically Quebec. But well, Quebec and Vancouver, we literally is where people come.
Hey, I agree with you, but
I'm not saying
but the guy who runs the province doesn't understand what the province is about. Like you look at the entire history of Quebec, and you're just like, yeah, I don't want to do that anymore. It's like, what are you talking about? I don't want to do that anymore.
I don't want to do that anymore.
That's the history of the country. Yeah, I mean, it's hey, there's a reason you use the word history. It's not that anymore. Let's do something different. Okay, what do you want to do? I want us to be everyone's the same, homogenized. You're all Quebec, but Quebec itself is the idea of multiculturalism. That is what made Quebec what it is. Yeah, I don't want to do that anymore though. But that's what Quebec is.
Yeah, and that's what we've been doing. That is the one thing of history that's also been constant. That it's
Quebec has never been one culture.
Never.
Like what you think of as well, and once again we're talking about the premier of Quebec. What he thinks of when he says intercultural and refers to the Quebec culture, he's talking about like francophones in Quebec predominantly white. I mean, I'm not going to exclude everyone, but from his perspective, I would understand is the predominantly white French Canadian culture. But that culture itself is made up of things from other cultures because when they first came to Canada, they immigrated from parts of the French Empire and came to Canada. And even that in it of itself was them coming from different parts of France, which was different cultures. Because guess what? If you're from Paris, Marseille, Lyon, you have a different sense of community and culture because it is like Montreal and the West Island. The West Island has already, and for those of you who don't know, the West Island is the suburbs, a western suburb in Montreal. Montreal, the city core, the West Island, and Laval are three different cultures.
Oh, 100%.
You have three different senses of community within one area. In Toronto, Brampton, Mississauga, and the downtown core of Toronto are three different senses of community. Those are three, if you want to say cultures, but they're three different like micro cultures in the area that make up the overarching culture of the place.
Well, even like the South Shore is also like it's ridiculously different. Like that small bridge, you go there and you're like, I don't want to say Hickville, but like it's the equivalent of like, you know, it's a suburban,
but it's
farmish area. Yeah, but it's like farm influenced. You know, it's more because like I could say like the West Island's like it's a suburb, but it's more of a city vibe suburb.
I wouldn't consider it because I grew up in the city.
Well, no, but I mean in the sense that like, you know,
well, do they do farming in the South Shore?
Well, they do farming, but there's farming. There's also like how can I do? Like they just have a lot more greenery than the West Island. Oh, you know what I mean?
Well, like and that's not because and that the crazy part about it is they have more greenery only because people haven't gotten their dirty hands on that land to try and develop it into something else. That's the sad part because the second they can develop on that land, they're going to.
Oh, 100%. It's going to like make
more condos,
more New York type vibe. We'll have like all of our downtown today will be like the south end of downtown, and that will be like the north end of down, like the.
God, I hope that never happens.
Oh, 100%. Like, I'm talking about like thousands a year. Well, not thousands, but like 100 years.
The way New York has like Midtown and lower. Yeah.
That's what I was trying to say.
I hope that never happens in Montreal. I pray that we never have a city that's divided like that into these weird. I mean, Montreal already has its different quartiers, like its different neighborhoods and stuff like that. But the way New York does it, where they have Central Park kind of just blocking off an area, and then like south of Central Park, east of Central Park, west of Central Park, north of Central Park, it's all like these different communities already. And that to me, it's like, I don't know. I don't feel the vibe with that, doing the city like that. Shout out to Lee, shout out to Darth Gutierrez, and you know, to everyone that's tuned in right now. We're talking politics a little bit at the top of the show because we're obviously going to get into the good stuff. We're going to talk about The Boys today. We're going to maybe talk about Obi-Wan finale a little bit. I'm going to name drop some shows that I've been watching that don't start white guys for once, and we're just going to talk about some cool shit, and then geek news and rumors at the end. But yeah, man. I mean, you and Jaws sent the message earlier in the chat that R. Kelly got 30 years.
Which he deserves hardcore.
Yeah. Ghislaine only got 20 years, which some people are already comparing the two. I don't know if you can compare the two. I don't know the details of their cases. I'm just happy they both got convicted, to be honest. Like, that to me already applause that was done. And I look forward to more people who've done horrible things being persecuted and prosecuted, I should say, for their horrible acts. Because, and I know, you know, I once had a conversation with someone who was just like, I don't wish prison on anyone. And I understood the sentiment. I understood the idea of like, don't wish incarceration and what we know of the system on anyone because of how bad the system is. And I agree that it's unfortunate, but I also think that if you had enslaved people, until we fix the system, we still have to put you in the box You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Well, I would put it
still
a
have to
different.
put you in prison until I fix it because I don't have anywhere else to put people who kidnap or brainwash or sexually assault. Like, I still got to put them somewhere.
I would wish I would wish the sentiment, if I were to take the sentiment, I would say I would wish that upon no one, in the sense that no one should go to prison because no one should do something criminal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, it would be.
But that's too optimistic. That's
know.
like where do we live? Where do we live? What universe am I talking about? What
You're talking about that timeline that is in the Matrix where everything is so perfect that the humans went crazy. Remember
that's
when
right.
The architect's trying to explain to Neo, like, hey man, we gave you guys this perfect like Eden and you guys still went crazy. So then we gave you the Brothers Grimm universe with monsters and ghosts, and the monsters went a little too crazy and ate you guys up too fast. So then we made this, and we've done like multiple universes, and this is the universe that we're in now. And you guys are still fucking around with it. And it's like, yeah, humans don't like being kept in cages. Who knew? But I mean, we're in a cage right now, the way the system works.
I mean, we're just in a simulation.
Yeah, guys, you know what? I joke all the time with my friends that I would love to find the button. Like, in my mind, there's a button somewhere in either on this planet or in this universe that we can just press and just end all existence. And I don't mean in a painful way of like everyone dies of a heart. I mean just from one instance to the next, like a Thanos snap. And even better than Thanos, though, not this like fading away, this moment of Peter Parker being like, I don't feel so. No, none of that. You snap and everything just ceases to exist. No pain, no nothing. If we could find that button to end the simulation, let's do it. Let's just find the button. Because like I was saying before, the simulation isn't going so well. And some of us think we need to just reset, or more likely, just end the simulation there. Just end it. Just end it.
Morbid. That's so morbid.
Just end it. If this is Charles Xavier's Danger Room, sir, it's gone wrong. Shut the program down. It's gone wrong. We've gone rogue. Shut the program.
We've gone rogue.
Shut it down. End it all. Let's just, because it is not fun. It's not fun. I don't like waking up every morning and having to avoid the news because guess what? More people are dying, or more rights are being lost, or more people are being tortured, or more children are gone missing, or like, no, this is crap. I know this is a podcast that's supposed to be about geek stuff, so I apologize to anyone who's being like, what the fuck's going on with these guys?
I think we made progress with you today, Brian. I feel like there's a lot of things that came out. No,
the title of the intro discussion on the show this week was "Shit Hit the Fan," and I'm really sticking to that. Shit did hit the fan. We are in guys. There's shit everywhere. The proverbial fan is spraying it all over the fucking universe. We need an out. I'm not kidding. This is me shaking your head. What's going on? God, but hey, I'm gonna go play Spider-Man later to cool my brain off. So whatever.
Turtles for myself.
Oh yeah, we gotta try. Oh, speaking of which, smoother transition. Thanks, Merc. Just to remind everybody, we did a special episode with Megaran last week. We told you guys we were going to be talking to him, and we did get to speak with him. It was a lot of fun. You guys can go check that out over on our Twitch. Once again, that is twitch.tv/geektasticcypher. If you guys haven't checked it out already, we really appreciate that when you guys support us. And that was a really, really, really fun conversation. So it's scrolling at the bottom for those of you who don't know. And if you are watching on Twitch right now, we appreciate y'all. When you finish watching this episode, you can head on over to that Megaran episode. And if you haven't watched the Megaran episode and you're watching on YouTube, it will be available on YouTube right after this episode as well. So you know, we'll let you guys watch that right after this. What else is do I want to tell people? Oh, Dave, do you want to tell people about Comic Con? What booth you guys have? I'll let you pull that up if you don't have it in front of you right now.
I do not have it up for me. Actually, you know what? Because it's next week, I'll do it next week, actually.
Well, no, let's tell people this week too, though.
Well, it's because I don't think I have the actual. I will plug Comic Con, but I don't have the booth number yet. Actually, I just.
I'm pretty sure your boy Coxie posted it.
Did he?
Yeah, but so if you guys are in Montreal, Montreal Comic Con is the 8th to the 10th this year in the beautiful city of Montreal. And hopefully you guys will get to go check it out. I mean, it's been a 2-year process of waiting to get to go to Montreal Comic Con again. There's a lot of stuff coming down the pipeline. It's really exciting. Unfortunately, there have been a few cancellations for some of the guests already, which I thought was a little bit sad. But I think I know, one of the things that happened with the pandemic is a lot of stuff got put on hold and people are picking back up. So the reason that some of those artists and actors aren't available is because they're on projects that we as geeks are going to really enjoy. And I think that's the best part.
And to further extend that, in regards to the second family to here being Squared Idea, the booth is 2331. And at the same time, I
knew that was the number.
And I also believe, I'm pretty sure it's at 5:45 or 6 o'clock. We'll also be hosting a panel. Yours truly will be hosting, and it'll be a horror panel with some independent artists, some from Squared Idea, some outside of Squared Idea, just to talk the horror genre. It's all
Dude,
of the participants.
On which day?
That would be the Saturday. Sorry, it would be on the Saturday. It's at 5:45 or 6. I don't know the hall. That I will make sure.
Yeah.
To get that,
so that was for next week. Perfect.
Next week, because that'll be important. But I know Chris and Mike Wilcox from Squared Idea will be there. I believe David Dataman he's a zombie comic that I'm forgetting the name of, but he's a Montreal independent artist who's been around for quite some time.
Yeah.
And I believe we have another person. I'm not too sure at the moment because I think the details are being sorted out with that.
Yeah. I just want you to tell people 2331. That's the booth number. Go check it out. They're going to be at Comic Con 2331. Don't forget those numbers 2331. Think of it as like a secret code that you have locked in your mind. And I'm excited for that for you guys. And next week when you have all the other information, we'll add that on the screen and we'll have all that available for people to check out. I'm excited, man. I haven't been to Comic Con. Obviously, because of the pandemic for the last few years. 2019 was the last one I got to go to. And I really, really was considering Fan Expo last year, but was like, I just don't think I should be traveling just yet. This year I got COVID. So everyone's telling me you have at least 60 days.
Yeah, no, you're good.
You should be okay. And that the Comic Con falls into that weekend. So fingers crossed. I'm hoping that I'll be able to tough it out. I also plan on wearing my Vader mask, my
nice
high tech, like I was saying last time. I got all the filters replaced, so I should be good. And
well, make sure to come by the booth, man. I know you've always made a stop by, but like, what's so fun about this one is this, like you said, it's been so long, and like because I've always felt this way even before I went to Comic Con. When I was just going to Comic Con normally, but then the last like 2 to 3 years of Comic Con, I was at a booth, right? And there's just like a nerdy, I don't know if it's a vibe or a smell, but you get there in the morning, you all get like happy. Like that's like I get in the building, I'm like, yes, nerd things will be done today, huh?
I've never been at a booth at a Comic Con. Is it hard to be in one spot all day when there's so much you want to see? Like I know you guys are 3, so you take turns.
Yeah, exactly. Like I've seen some people are like toughing it out because they're literally like we've been beside some people who it's just them the whole time.
Right. Yeah.
And we've had some actually some cool neighbors throughout the years that we've like chilled and talked to and stuff. And for us, whenever we've been beside one, we'd be like, if assuming that not necessarily assuming they're cool, like just being encouraged, like, yo, if you need to ever like go get food or
just even
go
use
to the bathroom. Yeah, exactly. We're like, look, we'll look over your shit. Like we're not.
Yeah, we're not monsters. We're not going to just.
We're not. Yeah, exactly. There's like a bit of like a community vibe in that regard that you could see people just turn around and do that. But like for me, I found it like because specifically at where it's done at Palais des Congrès, the floor is really firm. It's like that really hard type of concrete.
Yes.
So like we've been meaning to buy like a little like gel mat for the people who are behind, literally standing there the whole time.
Yeah, one of my buddies has the standing comfort mats. Yeah. You guys should definitely order. Like, if you're planning, you should order one for like ASAP. Did you already order one?
We didn't, but this year, luckily, we have enough people on the rotation that it's fine. Plus, like we've made more like schedules, so like you can go the whole day, but there's like people who are like we gave like 4-hour blocks type thing of like who needs to be there.
I would say still get it, guys, because I know like even standing for 4 hours is like those mats will relieve so much and we're turning into a health podcast. But those comfort mats for your feet, for anyone who's ever had a booth or just stands in one spot for hours, like even if you're at a bank, like I know they have the stools now, but back in the day, some of those tellers just stood there all day. You weren't sitting on anything. And they now make these gel mats that are made specifically for long time. They're like, I think they're called anti-exhaustion mats too. Like they're made from a special gel. They're super comfortable. My buddy from Foil Dal, who's this guy from Toronto, who's an artist, he had one, and I helped him out one year. You know, just kind of like he used to challenge me. He'd be like, "This is the one thing, this children's book that I wrote that I try and sell every year, and I never sell it here. And I want you to try and sell it." So I tried to sell it. That was the challenge, if I could sell that book. And I didn't sell it, unfortunately. It's a great children's book. It's the alphabet. It's really cute, but it's just like people at the convention aren't really there to buy kids books.
No.
Like, you know, they have a specific thing in mind. So it was just really difficult. But he still gave me the thing that he said he was going to give me if I sold it, because he saw how hard I tried. Like dude, I put on my salesman attitude.
I've seen it. I've seen it.
And but that mat allowed me to do it for longer because I didn't get exhausted from just standing there. That actually really helped. And I was only there for like an hour, let alone 4 hours. Like, I don't know how you guys do that.
Well, for us, like, because obviously one thing that we also do, we well, at the beginning of the day, if there's rushes, obviously everyone stands type thing.
Yeah.
But usually when there's like the lulls or whatever, and again, it's because we have multiple people. It's a really like one person standing, and then when that person's like, okay, I'm tired of standing, then because when we have our booths, historically speaking, we've always had 2 chairs.
Yeah.
So 3 of us, 2 chairs. So it's like, okay, cool. So one of you heckle, and the rest of us sit, and then when you're done heckling, we'll heckle, you know, just to get attention.
Take turns just getting attention.
Yeah, basically, just like, you know, like, hey, come over. What's up? Like, because we were also at least for the first 2 years specifically, like people came to us and said like, we like your vibe because you were like not just chilling, like, you know, you're like talking to people. Hey, do you like, you know, at one point in time,
interacting and stuff.
Yeah, especially like the first year, like, you like zombies? You like zombies? Like, we were very, very like adamant. We had like a pitch and everything. But the one thing that's always been hard, way more for me than the other guys, is like walking by everything all the time, because I'm like, there's a lot of stuff I want. There's a lot of stuff here I want. And like, the more time you're there, the more you're like trying to devise, well, if I buy this and I buy this and I buy this, I could get all that for X, or I could just get the big thing. And then that by the end of the weekend, the price tag naturally just becomes not the price tag you initially set on the Friday, because you've been there for like 3 days staring at other people buy shit. And then like, it's always like, at least for the first for both 3 years that I was doing it, I walked by and there was like that thing that I wanted.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like that thing, like
something that's this on an invisible list you have in your head that you're looking for. Yeah.
Like I got like first appearance of Gambit and first appearance of Harley Quinn. Like not first appearance of her, because technically her first appearance is a Batman animated. It's Batman animated TV show, but in comic books, it's a Batman animated TV series comic. But like the first comic that she's like in continuity, which is like that famous pose with like
appearance in the Earth. That
and it's like that comic. It's like it's her and Joker. One of their favorite poses is like he's just chilling there and she's like leaning back. It looks like they're dancing and stuff.
Yeah.
I got that one year. I got like some Deadpool stuff one year of like and one time it sucked because I was there one time and I wanted to get like a bunch of Robins, like all the generation of Robins, but like
dope.
Damian being Robin, then like, you know, Nightwing, Red Hood, and Red Robin, right? And they have those Kamaguchi or whatever style ones. I forget the
pops. You mean?
Oh no, it's like a statue. It's like it's either Hirotashi or Kamaguchi. It's like those statues that like their feet have metal in them, so the base is a big magnet. So when you put it on, it kind of just you can move it wherever you want. And I actually put them all together.
Oh, dope.
The original, so I could position them around. But I was walking around Comic Con, and it's like one of those things where it's like, I found one at half price. I found one at 75% of the price, and I found one that you don't find.
Oh, damn. Okay.
And I bought it, all of it. I wasn't happy. It wasn't good, but like You're there for 3 days.
Yeah.
It's staring you in the face because it's like 2 rows over. So you keep walking by to see if it's still there. And
yeah.
like,
So
fuck.
I mean, this is kind of a preview because before Comic Con, I'm probably gonna do the mini like in prep for Comic Con that I used to do. And but one of the things I always tell people is from jump before you even get to Comic Con, make the list. Like even if it's in your head, write it down on your phone of the things you specifically actually know that if you saw it, you're like, this is how much I'm willing to pay for it. I'm willing to go up to like, if anything, write down your max.
Yeah.
And then go to the convention and also make a budget. Plan out things like your food and stuff like that, so you're not because the convention will get expensive if you're buying out. So things like protein bars, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Bring the like. There's so many things that you can do that you're like, okay, you have to think of this as like, funny enough, you're kind of hunting. You are hunting.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
And when you go hunting, you can't just go and start getting McDonald's, you know? Like when you're hunting, you bring food with you, the little things, and you keep them in a little container that the animals won't smell. So that and this is the same because at the convention hall, we don't want those smelly sandwiches that some of y'all might bring stinking up the whole place. So everyone bring a little container that locks away the food so we don't all smell it on the floor. And then it's like hunting. You really have to like look and look for what you're looking for. And if you see someone like wearing a shirt you like, go ask them, hey, did you get that shirt here? Did you? Oh yeah, they're selling them over there. All right. And then you make a plan. Also, one of the other things, try and find the map. Sometimes the map with all the different stations is available a couple days before, and try and find the map online.
I would add, have a safety budget for the random, like an X amount of money that you're like for random stuff that you will see that you cannot possibly think about. Because for example, to get to your t-shirt analogy before, I remember one time, I think it was one of the times, it may have been the first year that we were actually at Comic Con, or it was maybe the year before.
Okay.
I walked in, it was the first year we were at Comic Con as a booth. I walk in and I saw a booth that had a specific Brock Sampson shirt. It was like him posed on it. It's like super nice. It was like a really nice color blue. It was like one of those, like, it's like a navy blue, and then the lining, instead of being black, it was just like a darker navy blue. It was like very, very well done.
Yeah.
Like, oh, whatever. Come back the next, like not even like half of the day later, and they're like, oh yeah, all gone.
Yeah.
And I'm like, get the fuck out of here.
I know. Yeah. That's the other thing. Sometimes there are things that you know you're going to want, and you have to decide in that moment, can I buy it now or do I wait? I highly recommend, and I know it sucks because sometimes the thing you want by the Sunday ends up being half price because a lot of the people at the convention are doing their darndest not to leave with the same amount of stock they came in with. It costs a lot. It's heavy. If they're from out of province, they shipped stuff over in some cases. Like I know the dudes, there's the guys who do the Funko Pop, the big Funko Pop station.
Yeah.
They actually store some of their stuff in different major cities.
Yep.
Because they know they're going to do the convention circuit on the East Coast, for example. So they'll just store the stuff there, even though they're located out west, and they'll leave them stored in a storage locker, and they're paying every month. And then they do the convention circuit. They come out east, they get the stuff that they have, they bring a little extra, the special edition stuff that they don't have on the pallets, but they bring that stuff out and they start selling again. So, you know, sometimes you have to be like, oh man, I really want this. Go get it. No. Jump at it. And it's going to suck financially, but Comic-Con is one of those times where you're like, okay, did I pay all my bills at least?
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
At least make sure you pay all the bills first. And then whatever you have after that, you're just like, okay, I'm going to play a little bit with this.
Yeah. What's messed up in regards to this year, this is the first year, because every year I've gone with like, I would like to try and find this. Like, you know, like that diamond in the rough that you want.
Yeah.
And through hook or through crook over the last few years, because of like, I guess, eBay auctions and like, you know,
people selling stuff because they just need a little money.
Yeah, and I also have a partner that super gets my collection problems, and she's like, I won't support them, but at your birth, that like the events that need to, and then she goes all out, and I'm like, sick. Like this is like
yeah.
dope. Like she convinced her parents to get me all those NECA turtles.
Oh,
things,
cool.
and I was there. I'm like, yes,
That's
yes.
so awesome.
Like I got all 4 of them. I'm like, I mean, there's also Splitter and Shredder out. I mean, like, you know, like if we're gonna be like this,
hey, don't be greedy now.
No, it wasn't. But like because of like these, like I don't have anything that's like the thing. You know what I mean? Like the only things I have left, I'm like, yeah, this is like no matter $1,000 plus, because we're talking about like the first appearances of like Wolverine or the actual Harley Quinn we were talking, like the real one, like, you know. So like comic book wise, that's out, and a lot of collectibles I've been lucky enough to get. So there is 1 or 2, but those would be like there's this specific Green Lantern versus Sinestro bookends that when you put them together, they're dope. I had that in my possession. I got that on eBay, and then the guy decided to just not wrap it properly, and it was destroyed. Like I had to get it shipped to my cousin. My cousin sent me a picture of the box. Like she sent me, it said, "You're not going to be happy," and she sent me a picture of the box, and it was like, imagine there's a box, and you know when you put something in a box and it's dented outwards because the thing that you're putting in is obviously bigger than the box.
Yeah,
that's what it looked like. And she's like, "You're gonna be so angry." And
did you get your money back?
I did. It was forced. It was like I told the guy, I'm like, I will get collectors. I'll get eBay involved. He's like, he immediately, because my cousin took pictures, and like it was through actual regular text. Like it wasn't WhatsApp. So it was like, and then like one picture would come up. I'd be like, oh. And then like another one would come up. I'd be like,
pearls. Oh my god!
And like you're like it's like watching like a dog get hit by a car that's shot in the back of the head. I was there. I'm like, this is horrible.
No, Jesus Christ.
No, but I'm saying like arms, like this, the guys, like it looked like they actually had a fight.
Damage,
it was horrible. It was just horrible. Anyways, but yeah, if I found that cool, but other than that, I got nothing.
I don't have anything this year. I mean, back in the day, there was obviously a lot of Transformers that were like, I really need this. I think the one thing I do have this Goliath right here was one that I looked for at conventions and toy cons for maybe 4 or 5 years before a buddy of mine got it for me from in Boston. And then another buddy of mine went to Boston and they picked it up for me when they were there. So there's been like, just though that was one, there's been a few comics that I really, really wanted that I made my list and I went to pick up. But this year, I think I'm more just excited. There's nothing specifically that I'm like, especially since I've also leaned towards Lego collecting. So I think if anything, maybe minifigs might be one of the things that I'd be interested in getting.
There'd be a lot. Do they even have? I never noticed that. I always noticed minifigs, but there's not a lot of Lego at Montreal.
No, exactly. They do a lot of minifigs. They don't do a lot of Lego. And a lot of the times the minifigs that obviously they're bootleg minifigs because it's a lot of stuff that doesn't actually exist. But it's fun. Like you know, $15 for 5 or something like that, and you get limited edition minifigs that don't exist. And I'll get Ronin from the Marvel that he doesn't have a minifig. There's no set for him. But I have his minifig now that I love because someone made a cool helmet and the cross sword, samurai swords and stuff like that. And it's super cool as a figure. And I have him next to Blade, which is the official Blade that came with the Daily Bugle. So it's kind of fun because it's the same samurai sword.
Like the backpack.
So I'm like, okay, these two together. Like I like the idea of like the imagery of some of the characters that they have together. But yeah, there's nothing specific that I really want.
Only because if I know you'll be walking around, and this would probably just catch your attention if you were just walking around. Actually, Dinobot from the new Transformers. If you see that by chance, that, or if you remember, I sent you a Rodimus a while ago. That was like a steel version.
And this is another thing for you guys. If your friends ask you for stuff, what do? Ask for pictures. Send me the pictures, because I won't necessarily know exactly what you're talking about, but if I'm holding my phone and I can just pull up the picture, then I'll be able to find it. So if you're gonna ask one of your friends to look for something for you when they're at the con, send them the picture. Send them the full description if you can, the official name, any of that stuff is helpful to people.
I'm definitely sending that to you because I know you're the type, you're going to be in the areas where I know you're just going to go towards those things. So
oh yeah, I mean I'm still going to look at the Transformers. I'm definitely
let's not fuck around. Like I'm like
yeah. But I don't see myself wanting to buy any this year. Guys, I feel like we should jump into it. I know people have been waiting for it. The Boys, Herogasm, episode 6. Are we excited? Did we love it? How did we feel?
That was intense. That's all. I don't know because I didn't read the actual comic book. I thought it was more on they were on a island or something, or like a bit more private. But
yeah, they pretend that they're going into space and lie to the public, and then just go to an island to have an orgy.
Yeah, but this it was a good adaptation in the sense of like the theme of it, but that was a fucking wild episode, bro.
I got funny enough, man. I found it tame.
Tame? He fought Homelander.
Oh no! I'm not talking about the whole episode. I'm talking about the Herogasm aspect of it.
Oh, okay.
Don't get me wrong. That Homelander fight was better, and I'm saying it right now, than the Civil War, the Civil War fight between Cap, Iron Man, and Winter Soldier.
Oh, dude, it was
Homelander, Soldier Boy, Huey, and Butcher
hopped up on V.
The two humans hopped up on V. Soldier Boy still dealing with his nuclear center that he can just blast people, and Homelander being Homelander. That was easily one of the best fights in a superhero show I've ever seen.
It's one of the it's a fight. It's I thought the episode was, I don't want to say it was an epic episode, although like between the fight and the bomb at the end, because you know it's going to have such a crazy ripple effect, the posting that Starlight does, outing everything.
Yeah.
I watched it early without my partner because I'm like, no, I want to be able to talk about this because I was more worried that it'd be super good and people would talk about it.
It has a 9.8 on IMDb.
It's the type of episode that I'm going to be happy that I'm like, oh no, I'm going to have to rewatch this with you. Like, you know, like, oh no.
Yeah.
Woe is me. Oh, you want to rewind the last few minutes just to stab? Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
He's going to be like, Dave, we got to get past it. I'm like, no.
Yeah. The fight was good enough that I definitely wanted to rewatch it. Man, that fight was good. That fight was so good. That fight was so good. Every time you thought Homelander had the advantage, somebody would show up. So the first time when Soldier Boy is going toe-to-toe with Homelander, you kind of get the sense of like, all right, this is great. Homelander kind of starts getting the advantage, and it's like, no, you're not that good. And then Butcher comes back in, and you're like, yes, this is dope. And then when Butcher and Soldier Boy are kind of getting their asses kicked a little bit by Homelander, because let's be real again, Homelander is the epitome of like Superman, and like he's the archetype for that next level superhero. You're watching and you're just like, shit, man, this is gonna be crazy. And then Huey shows up, and Huey starts like bouncing around. He starts teleporting and messing with Homelander, and then next thing you know, they actually pin the dude down, and you're like. And
I thought it was it.
Yeah,
I
was
thought
on
it was
the edge
it.
of my seat. I was on the edge of my seat, like, do it. I was so excited.
It's about time. Put his white crazy ass into the
Oh
ground.
my god, I was so excited, and then in true fashion, and I mean at this point, guys, if you're watching, I feel like I didn't really need to say spoilers, but spoilers. He gets away, and it makes you mad, because I was just under the impression that, because here's my thing, I love the show The Boys. I think it's one of the better superhero shows. I think they do a really, really great job of telling the story. I think I was telling a buddy of mine today, I think Garth Ennis, one of his major problems is he doesn't know how to write women. I think Kripke did his best in rewriting the women in the show to make them more interesting, more powerful, and to flesh out the characters. So, when I watch the show, I'm just like taking that into consideration. I'm like, okay, cool. I see where the characters are going to grow and where the characters might be limited. Victoria, great character. This kind of like tightrope walking of villain / hero. She's not necessarily all bad, but I feel like her character is the down to earth grounding that you need. right? Like, she's the most, in my opinion, realistic about what's going on. Her and maybe Maeve, because Maeve was kind of just an alcoholic, but now Maeve seems to be back in her shit. Well, at least we know she's been kidnapped, but until that point, she was kind of like working behind the scenes and trying to help things move along against Homelander. And you're like, okay. And then you have Victoria, who's just like, Homelander's a psycho, Vought is corrupt, I'm in politics, I can make moves, but I can't make all the moves. So I have to make moves in the shadows and also still make moves in the public. And that got me really, really excited for those characters. But then when you go back to Homelander, I really think they need to get, like, Homelander needs to die.
He needs to die, or you have the only way for him to be in existence, to be quite honest, is that you make him a villain by somehow removing his powers, and therefore it's the journey of him like trying to get them back.
I don't even want that, though. I don't
want it, but I'm saying that's the only way to put longevity, because it's basically
that's the thing. He's getting repetitive.
The Superman man lasts because he saves people and is a good person.
Yeah,
he is the devil who is. It could only last so long,
right?
You know what I mean? Like, even at one point
at least on the show, in the comic book, it can last longer because the way the comic books are written, you know, you find out, for example, that Black Noir is secretly a clone who's programmed to take out Homelander if he ever needs to.
Mm-hmm.
And that in the comic book is something that you're like, oh, cool. In the show, we know Black Noir is not that character.
Yeah.
So, like, what they're doing now is kind of he's just irredeemable, which nods to that comic book too. If you guys are looking for a like evil Superman story, Irredeemable is one that I think is on Dynamite. I don't remember which, but you guys can look it up. Irredeemable, wonderful comic, definitely worth the read. It's about a Superman, I think Plutonian, who's like the greatest hero in the world, and then turns and becomes evil, and the villains and the heroes have to work together to try and stop him. Really good read. But like that comic was interesting because the villains and the heroes start working together to go after this one person. Homelander is still like manipulating everyone, and it just feels like, okay, I get it. Can you guys actually defeat him now? Because I can't deal with multiple seasons of him just always being there, getting away with everything.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, they're also not like, how can I say this? At some point in time, it'd be cool to keep what they're doing, but also to a certain degree actually introduce real supervillains or supervillain scenarios. That would be cool, but that would be hard storytelling. So that's a lot of moving pieces. Because like right now, if you think about it, it's only Homelander who's the super villain. If you think about it,
dude, but I almost feel like the show's not meant to have supervillains. Like the show itself, the way it's written, I don't know that, because like, what you're describing would end up with Butcher teaming up with Homelander if a villain so dangerous came along that Homelander couldn't just destroy it himself. He eventually has to start working with other people.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like the concept of them actually, like, imagine a world where Homelander technically has to stop a supervillain because the supervillain is actually in existence, and like technically that's actually his job at Vought.
Yeah.
But then he's also dealing with butchers. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, there's the concept, like, example. In real world, you have police, and then you have internal.
But that's that's funny enough. What you're describing is what they're trying to do this season. It's
they're getting. That's why I feel that they're getting there. They're just
Soldier Boy is the public's villain, but Soldier Boy's working with Butcher is the thing.
Yeah,
but you're talking about a villain that Homelander has to deal with that distracts him enough that that Butcher and those guys can still come after him.
Yeah, or manipulate the situation, or in some cases, like, again, because like,
but I just want Homelander gone. Is what I'm.
So do I. But I'm just saying that, like, we're talking about how could you make it interesting with potentially him still being there.
I don't want him still there. That's you. Okay, but I'll let you.
No, I'm just saying, like, that would be the only way. These are the only scenarios I can imagine doing it that would be kind of interesting, because like, as you said, this concept of like, I'm just a little boy and I'm gonna cry when I want to because it's my birthday all the time or whatever, like, you know, like, it's like, yo, like, cool, but like, no, like, this doesn't make. And at some point in time, it's also like, how does it not become oddly public?
That too.
You know,
Well,
it's like
I mean, we
it's happened
understand.
so close. So even one time he gets angry in public and they still gets away with it. I'm like, how does
Well,
no?
I mean, you understand. Well, funny enough, you say that, but as people who are living in the real world, how do politicians and some of the politicians say and do the things that they do and get away with it, and everyone just go, okay, I guess that's just the thing they did, and the media covers it and then just ignores it. That's kind of what I feel like the show is commenting on that. Homelander went on TV and made a speech where he just started saying like, y'all can't fuck with me. I'm better than you. I'm a better person. All that stuff.
Mm.
We've had politicians in this world make those kind of comments to other people, and people applauded them, and people applauded Homelander. The show is just mimicking what happened in the real world.
These are fair. These are fair
So,
points.
and then when it comes to why the public doesn't know about more stuff, well, we saw what happened with Blue Hawk, because Homelander goes on TV and tells everybody, "Hey, you don't have to worry. We're taking care of it. Don't overthink this." And then when Huey and Starlight are talking to Blue Hawk, no, it's Starlight, right? That's talking to Blue Hawk, and she's trying to explain to Blue Hawk like, "Hey, you need to help me get these people out of here. They're all in danger." And Blue Hawk puts his hand on her shoulder and is just like, "Hey, Homelander says it's all under control." And it's like, dude, are you talking about the same broadcast where she was sitting next to him? She's sitting next to Homelander. Don't you think the person who was sitting next to Homelander would have something to say and would know more than just what was edited on TV?
No, but he was proven to be an idiot long ago. However, just because you mention him, and it makes me think of A Train.
Yeah.
The A Train and Huey moment was
that was good.
Great.
Yeah,
And although I knew I called it a few episodes ago. I told you he'd either do something heroic or defending someone's honor and do something to kill himself, or he's gonna be an asshole and he's gonna kill himself doing something asshole shit. When that happened,
I feel like this was a combo of both.
Yeah,
he wasn't being heroic by killing Blue Hawk, but he was also like, it's also just good to get someone like Blue Hawk out of the running because he's a danger to people.
And I feel like to a certain degree, like hypothetically speaking, whenever Huey will obviously find out about it, I imagine there becomes kind of like, well, it's also justification for him. Like at least you died trying to fix one of your mistakes or one of these mistakes, which was your mistake, and now you die early because you killed my girlfriend. Stuff.
And then even better, what Ashley says to him when he says, "I want some fucking justice," and she's just like, "Justice?" And then she points out to him like, "Do you know how many meetings I've been in to clean up your shit? Dude, you're a one-person wrecking crew. You've killed people. You've murdered people. You can't turn around now because things aren't going the way you want and start yelling justice just because. That's not how this works." And, it was, as much as I hate Ashley because Ashley bends to Homelander's will so much, I really respected that scene because, because I don't know if A-Train didn't do anything because he was afraid of what could happen if he did something to her and Homelander found out. Like, I don't know how much he knew about her relationship with Homelander, but I just liked that scene because I was like, okay, Ashley, you finally have spoken up.
But like when she rips out the chunk, like, I don't know how this girl has any more hair.
Yeah, the show. I don't know if she's like putting in extensions all the time. Like, is that
she's just yanking out her extensions every time?
Because some extensions are sewn in, man, so they would still hurt. But I don't know. The show does a good job of being like.
Because when she pulls it out every time she does it, even though I know it's fake and everything, I cringe so hard because I'm like, if you've ever just like pulled out like a beard hair that was too long, you're like, ow, and then clack. I'm like, oh.
I wonder if
you're human, you're not a superhero.
I wonder if the actress like actually pulls out like a strand, like she like puts her hand and pulls out the piece that they tell her, but also grabs a strand, so she really gets the like reaction of like because man, I agree with you. It looks painful that she does that, and yeah, that Ashley scene was great. I think Ashley is one of the more interesting characters because she has no spine. But when she does have a little bit of power, boy, does she like to swing that dick. Like she she likes to show off like, okay, I have power in this instance and I'm gonna run with it, and y'all just have to deal with that.
I think she's becoming like, I think hypothetically speaking, if she survives, because she's always been one of those people that, like, for me, I'm like, she's expendable anytime. Like, we needed a moment. Is Ashley in the scene? Kill her. Like, you know what I mean? What about her? We'll replace her with the other Ashley. Whatever. The other Ashley that we put as her assistant. And then she'll, like, it just becomes like, I thought it was gonna become a running gag at one point. Like, this kill every Ashley, but if she survives this season, I feel like the end result would be a confident version of herself where she becomes
only
intelligent.
If Homelander's dead. I agree with you. Only if Homelander's dead. She will not feel comfortable if Homelander is still alive in the same world with her, because she'll always be worried that he will hurt her.
Of course, but what I'm saying is that more to like everyone else.
Sure.
Like, she'll develop the relationship that Homelander had with what's her name from the first season that he like
Stillwell.
They'll develop she'll slowly, not obviously not the sexual part of it, but like the concept of having like
the babysitter
up. But because if you ever saw Stillwell, she was always actually nervous around him.
Of course,
she was never happy around him. But yeah, of course. But she was the badass around everyone else. But then she knew how to talk to him and stuff like that, and do it in a way. I just don't
know that Homelander and Ashley will ever have that relationship. That's why I'm saying Homelander has to be dead for her to get that confident. I understand what you're saying. It's just that I can't see her doing that if Homelander is anywhere in the universe still powered the way he is. Because no matter what she does, she'll know that this guy can just burn her head off.
If not worse.
Yeah.
Because exactly. I hate to say it, but I really wish they would have shown the scene with whatever that dude was that he destroyed on the roof. I was curious how that went down. Yes.
Sonic, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of like death off screen was kind of a weird one.
Yeah. It was a very brutal looking death. I'm like,
oh my God.
I don't want to be mean or like, I know we've been talking about things that are like not comfortable, but I kind of want to see that.
I can understand that. At least show like, yeah. I mean, just to show what or how, because when you see the body, you're just like, I don't even understand what he did to Sonic. But yeah, I guess we'll see. Moving on. I mean, highly recommend. I guess that's
100%.
100% recommend.
100%.
Did you watch Obi-Wan last week?
Yes.
Oh yeah, you actually watched it.
Yeah, I was trying not to ruin anything. For you guys.
Yes. Okay, so let's be open and honest about Obi-Wan. How'd you feel about Obi-Wan?
I thought that was one of the better Star Wars fight scenes I've seen in a fucking long time.
Yeah.
That was like one of the most iconic. Like it makes me kind of almost want to watch A New Hope. Like that's how much that's how, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Just to know that confrontation, the sin, like Obi-Wan as a whole, I liked it, but I found that like I said to you guys before, especially with like how they were layering stuff, they never broke the boundaries of how Ben would talk to anyone, right? Like, yes, he does technically he meets Luke at one point in time when Luke is small, but he's so small it could be like maybe this is the only time he meets him. You know what I mean? Which I'd hope. But I thought the fight scene was absolutely ridiculous. Like it was a very layered show.
Mm.
And it felt kind of like a mini movie, but at the same time, it didn't drag on, I don't think.
No.
They had a bit of like extra at the end, but again, you were sending it off. So,
yeah, you're talking about the episode or the whole season?
Actually, that specific season. That specific episode.
Okay.
The timing was that specific episode.
Because I was going to say, you're equally right when it comes to the entire season as a whole. Like, it felt like, as a season, this felt like a mini movie, or I guess like an extended movie. Mm-hmm. And you kind of added all these parts and these interesting things, and you managed it well. And yeah, I agree with you. That fight with Vader and Obi-Wan is easily one of the best Jedi fights I've ever seen. It is one of the most beautiful fights, and the lighting for it with the lightsabers made it fantastic.
Beautiful.
Obi-Wan really kind of digging in, and Vader being like, "Oh, I see you got some of your strength back." Like going into it and like feeling like as you're watching it, the one scene that I thought was a little cheesy, just a little, was the Obi-Wan stuck under the rubble, because that felt very much like Spider-Man in Homecoming. Remember when Vulture crushes the building on him and he's just like essentially crying. He's like, "This isn't how I want to go out," and he does that Spider-Man thing of like finally gaining his shit. Like, remember when Ultimate Warrior used to be like on his way out, and you'd start punching him, and he'd be like freaking out, like, "Ah, yeah!" It felt that's how it felt. That's how it feels when I watch those scenes. Like, these characters are Ultimate Warrioring it, and it's I love it because as an '80s kid, that Ultimate Warrioring shit, fantastic.
I love that you call it Ultimate Warrioring because it's okay. That's a nod to me, and I love that. People call it hulking up because Hulk Hogan does that silly shit too.
Man.
But props to you on giving it to the man who deserves it.
Yeah. I think of Ultimate Warrior when I think of the thing where like he powers up and then you like slap him in the face and he's all like, "Oh, yeah, you think that's gonna hurt me?" And then like that's what I picture when I see Obi-Wan under the rubble, kind of like the lightsaber light, like the light's like dimming out, and you're just like, "Oh man, this is it." Is it like? And obviously we know Obi-Wan doesn't die, but you start to get that sense of like, does he get buried for a couple of years? Like, what the hell happens?
Is that what happened?
And then he like hulks out and then blows it up. Starts going after Vader, starts doing Thanos style shit, just shooting rocks, like pelting him with it. And you're like, oh, okay, this dude was just holding back most of this fight. Now the real shit starts. So
well, I think it was like more like getting the ring rust off the uses of the Force, right? Because he went for like what they suggested it was like 10 years after the fact that he basically wasn't using. He probably used it to help escape to Tatooine, but like after that, hanging up his boots and whatnot. The only thing I found cheesy, which is also related to what you were talking about, is this like the only thing I was thinking like, I mean, Darth Vader knows he's not dead. He should like kind of like Force scrunch him, but then he just walked away. I'm like, that's a little not so menacing, but it's okay. We had to figure out a loophole to why, and it's very Star Warsy, so fine.
But it's one of those things of like, in that moment, I was wondering, does Anakin have honor? Like, he's just like, I've defeated you as much as possible. You're going to die now. I don't need to actually crush you to finish you off. But I guess it's more just like you said, it's just Star Wars writing. We got to be able to bring this character back. We know he shows up at the beginning of in A New Hope, so we can't kill him here. Like, there's nothing we can do. Same thing with the Inquisitor, Grand Inquisitor, when everyone was getting mad, being like, they killed the Grand Inquisitor, and they're like, but he comes back on that show. So, like, are they changing the canon? It's like, no, guys, they're just, he's coming back. Don't overthink it.
Why do they freak out like that? As if they haven't like, you guys are fans of this, shouldn't you know? What you should know.
The character is alive later on. Guess what? He's not gonna die. He's fine.
I shouldn't know more than you, and I just got here. Like, you guys should know what's happening in your own lore. It's just a little weird. I don't know. Also, you could tell that he didn't off Obi-Wan because of canon, because had that been me and you took half my legs and a bit of my chest and left me in lava,
facts.
Boy, am I
torture.
I'm popping your head with them rocks. I'm doing everything to you.
I mean, like, we all know what you do with the slights, so I mean, who knows what you do with that?
Right? Imagine if I had imagine I could take down a ship with my hand. What are you going to do to my enemy? Like, come on.
Oh my god.
I don't know. What I always want to see like an not R-rated version of like Star Wars, but like one where you could see like what they would really do, because like they move things, right? But like, why, like Vader, why wouldn't he just like slowly rip somebody in half? Like,
Dave,
that they have the power for that.
Because that would be the boys.
Yeah, Dave, we've seen Jedis, like we've seen Sith slash people in half. We've seen people cut across the chest. We've seen people shot in the head with a blaster. We've seen Jedi like bounce back a blaster and like rip through somebody. Do you need to see? Because the only difference between a R and a PG-13 usually is like if there's blood. I'm okay with not having the blood. Like because to me that's the only difference. Because what's the difference if you cut someone in half and their body falls over and like down a shaft, or you cut someone's arm off? The amount of times people's arms have been cut off, Dave. If I showed you a human body with 2 legs cut off and 1 arm cut off burning at a volcano, The only difference in that scene in that movie and the real thing is how much blood you would see. And I'm okay not seeing the blood because the burning body on fire was bad enough. Like,
Listen,
I mean, I like
I'm just
realism.
saying.
That's why they deal so much with fire and things that cauterize things, so they can just get around the
Right?
blood situation, which is
Yo.
in itself smarter. Like,
Yeah.
like extreme heat for sure. Because come on, cutting someone in half and making it look cool is way messier versus just being like boom and like, oh yeah, lightsaber.
Like, yeah, I'm happy lightsabers cauterize the wounds when they cut through them because I don't want to see blood squirting every 2 seconds. Like
that,
that would just be the boys.
But Skinny, have you seen the episode?
Yeah.
So then, my question to you is this: do you think they'll make a season 2?
They could. It'd be risky and it'd be super weak.
Agreed. Yeah,
they could. They got lucky with this because the obvious choice would be to go down the redeemed Reva road.
Yeah. Okay.
And her probably seeking out Obi-Wan for some silliness, and then pulling him back out again for the Force or the Empire that wants to dead. And they want to dead her ass because they're like, yo, like you're not gonna live and be out here. Stop it.
That's a good angle. That's a really good angle. Yeah.
It would be that, but then with all the Reva's HasLab lightsaber is looking to fail. Like people aren't backing it that bad out of just sheer hate and stupidity. Right, so like
really,
those
Inquisitor lightsabers.
It needs like 8,000 backers, and it's barely cracking 4 versus the GI Joe his tank that came out today, and it's already cracking. Like Darth confirmed this for me, but it's probably cracking like 5,000 now.
I find that tank ugly.
It's kind of like I'm not dropping 500 Canadian on that.
Yeah. For any of you who are wondering, if you're listening to this, don't worry, we don't have the image up. But if you guys follow Action Figgy Skinny on the socials, you'll probably see he's probably posted some images of the Hasbro stuff. And the GI Joe his tank, that is the one. It's like the 2-tier one. It's like it has like tank wheels, and then it has someone at the top, and then someone driving inside, right?
Yeah. So someone at the top, someone driving inside, and then it has spots for like 2 Joes at the bottom in the back. But it's like
But this is a Cobra one, no?
Yes, it's a Cobra on top of that.
I saw the pictures of that today. I didn't realize it had just been released today, but
it's kind of weird looking. I don't know if I'm about to, but like to say that the hate
is it meant for the typical 6-inch figures or the smaller ones?
No. It's meant for like the 6-inch classified series.
Oh,
the biggies. Like
wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Because why it's so expensive.
That's why it's $500.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes. But that's also damn near the same price as Galactus. Galactus is $4.99 USD. With tax, it comes to like 6 something Canadian. But
how much was the Sentinels again?
Sentinel was less than that, with $3.99.
Yeah, that's crazy. That his tank is not.
Yeah, that's crazy.
No, but I mean, his tank is not going to be that big, is it? Like, I'm not
that big, but I'm pulling up a picture for you, like right now, to try to find it.
So that's it. I mean, if you guys, I don't think they'll do a second season for Obi-Wan. Reva's redemption, as Skinny said, would be probably the only angle I could see them wanting to take, because you can't do a story focus on Obi-Wan, and you can't. I mean, unless you want to do next season a story focused on Reva and Luke, and like you were saying, Reva's redemption, she helps Luke because Luke is now being chased after by somebody, because someone finds out about Luke somehow, and that's like Luke's story, because this one was Leia's story.
Yeah, but you can't mess around with Luke, because example, when Luke's
as long as
older,
Luke's a teenager, he's never left.
He's not aware of stuff, right? Like he's never left the. That's why I'm saying they kept him on Tatooine, and they made him young enough that more likely than not they could be like, the parents would have been able to say like stuff to make him kind of forget this over time, because like when he's in New Hope, he's exceptionally innocent. He doesn't recall any bad things happening, right?
Just to show you guys a size comparison.
So if you guys are listening to this, Skinny is now showing the his tank. The his tank is about the size of a guy's like lower torso, so it's big,
pretty big.
Like it's like this guy's whole stomach, like from his chest down to his like hips area is like covered by the size of the tank. So I understand the size of the tank in comparison to other figures that have been shown before. I still don't know that I would want to spend $500 on that.
No,
But
the original Blackbird was like $50, and that was, I don't want to say it was doper than that, but
but it held the little figs. Where this is fitting figs like this.
yeah,
big.
this is like large figs. Yeah.
The Blackbird when we were, it was
6-inch figs didn't exist back then. The Blackbird figs were like 4 inches.
Okay, but the biggest at the time.
It's
still $50 compared to 500.
Yeah.
Also, 6-inch versus 3 3/4, or 4 inches, 5 inches.
He's saying to the scale size, it's gonna cost that much more. Like,
but I'm saying
I understand what you're saying.
But I'm still saying $50 if you want to double it, even triple it. It's not $500.
You're right.
But let's take into consideration HasLab stuff is going to be much higher quality.
True.
That's the other thing.
Because like the one I'm remembering, I don't know if did you ever see that Blackbird back in the day where it, like, split off into three pieces and stuff? Oh man, I remember getting that for Christmas. I had a meltdown. Like I had
oh shit.
I couldn't, in the sense of like I couldn't handle how happy I was because I didn't know it existed. It was like one of those things. It was like, imagine as a kid. So like whenever, I guess I was maybe 7 or 8 at the time.
Yeah.
And like I just, like, it was the end of Christmas. You know, you have all your stuff, and like I was a big collector. I was like one of those kids that had, here's my bin. It's just all X-Men or Marvel stuff. And like I got some key X-Men. I'm like, okay, sick. And then my godfather comes in like super late. He's like, he's wrapping the present in the other room type thing. And I'm like, whatever. Then I go through the process of opening and I see it. And I'm like, pure melt, like, could not understand what I was opening and that I had in my possession.
I was mad at that X-Jet / Blackbird because it's like, how are you going to make over 10 or 12 X-Men characters and then give me 1 seat in this blasted plane?
2, the back, 3. You had the back, you had it in the back, you had the cockpit, and you could technically fit one of the smaller figs when you closed it. I'm not saying it justifies its skinny.
If there's more than 3 characters, action figures, and you're only making 3 seats, then
let me ask you this: did the turtle van have 2 seats?
I knew I was about to say that.
The turtle van, you could fit everybody and their cousin in that thing, and sit the turtles comfortably. So but
then again, you're comparing to one of the best toys ever. Except for the fact that the thing always broke. Well, all my friends and mine.
No one kept that door. The swing door never opened.
Yeah, the swing. Yeah.
You had to super glue that out the gate because it was going to break off.
Yeah. I just wanted, before we sign off, before we go to Geek News and Rumors, I just wanted to mention a few shows, because one of the things I was noticing the other day when I was talking to one of my buddies, I was just like, I realized that I haven't watched a sitcom with a white person as the lead in a couple weeks. And I was just like,
that's racist.
I was like, this is a cool vibe to realize that they're making so much content that doesn't just have white guys starring in it. And I mean, I'm not trying to be mean, but I think when you spend your whole life, Dave ducked out, when you spend your whole life watching sitcoms, and every sitcom was like just a white guy, like Seinfeld, Frasier, Cheers, like all the sitcoms for like Will and Grace, it's just a lot of like whiteness on the major networks.
Here's what I'll say to that though. We noticed it, but it didn't affect us so much because it was so much the norm and there was not enough people speaking loudly in the back.
I mean, it affected me because I would watch those shows and think like, I remember when people started talking about how Friends didn't have any black people, and I remember thinking the first time I ever noticed race was the time I went to New York and stayed in Jamaica, Queens.
Oh yeah,
for a week with my family, and then on the way back to Montreal, when I got to Côte d'Ivoire and noticed white people for the first time, I was like, "Oh yeah, white people exist." I was 8.
Well, yeah, that's what we were doing at 8. I was in Flatbush, literally Ready to Die by Biggie just dropped that year. Criss Cross came out that year. Like I was on Flatbush, and I was like, "It's not."
And you're with your family, and
so you're not noticing it, but then. For TV, like, okay, for every Frasier, Seinfeld, whatever, when we were like 4 or 5, 6, we did have Cosby. We did have Different World. We did have...
Yeah, but
Family Matters.
Hanging with Mr. Cooper.
I understand what you're saying, but Skinny, I think you're missing the point of, for every one show you just mentioned, there were 5 other shows.
At least.
And those shows were also on the major networks. Like, that's the thing. must-see TV on Thursdays on NBC, did it have any black leads in any of those shows?
Absolutely not. But what I'm saying to that
TGIF
is,
had 2. You had Family Matters and Hang with Mr. Cooper.
Yeah.
My point
And
is
twins?
that it affected us, of course.
You mean Sister?
Sister.
Sister.
I was like,
that wasn't
twins.
a TGIF show.
No, it wasn't. It was it got moved to.
It was moving
Sister,
around.
Sister was never on TGIF.
It was actually never permanently on a day. It started off like Sundays, and then it went to Fridays briefly, then on some Tuesday shit. Next to what was that show with? God damn it! She had her next door neighbor ran the convenience store.
Blossom?
And not Blossom. She was a blonde mom, and she was like kind of like weathered, but like
Grace Under
angry.
Fire.
My man.
Yeah,
Grace Under Fire was so fire. But anyways,
Butler, I think it's called.
Yeah. Anyways, you don't remember Grace Under Fire? It was a great show, Dave. Anyways, yeah, that was like they were paired up with Sister at some point, and like they just threw Sister around. It wasn't.
But that's it. I'm just saying, in the last couple weeks, all the sitcoms I've watched have either had Latinx stars, Indigenous stars, or South Asian stuff, and that's why I was just like, this is kind of a cool vibe to realize. Oh, because when you realize that you're like. I watch Rutherford Falls, which is a show that's on Peacock. It stars Ed Helms. He's the lead in the first season. And then by the second season, you start seeing like, oh, they're trying to move away from like the star of the show. Like Ed Helms isn't really the star of the show. The star of the show is Jana, and I'm definitely going to mess up her name. It's an Indigenous name, and I do apologize. Jana, oh my Lord.
Oof. I've never seen you do that before.
I know.
Paused.
It's SCH
yeah.
MIEDING. So Shemiding?
Shemidin. I need to see it. I want to read it. I need to read it.
Shemidin.
So like that's the thing. I don't know how to pronounce that, and it really sucks because I think it's a cool name. But anyways, all I know is like so season 1, her and Ed Helms are the stars of the show. Season 2, the way they wrote the finale of season 1, Ed Helms kind of leaves, and then at the top of season 2, the show the show addresses the fact that he's been gone, so no one really knows who he is. So they're focusing more on her story and Ed Helms' former assistant, who is a non-binary Asian kid. So it's kind of like Indigenous, non-binary Asian kid, Indigenous character. Like the whole show is about the Indigenous community in this small town.
Oh.
And I was this is dope. Like it's fun to watch a show like this where the like you start to realize like, oh, I don't look like them, but I understand their community. Like, oh dude, there's one episode about a white guy who's passing as Indigenous, and at one point they're all eating together, and he says, I'm a descendant of many nations, and all the Indigenous sit back and go, I ascended from my mother, and the other girl goes, I also ascended, and I don't know what that means, but it seems that in the Indigenous community of that town, you don't say descendant, you say I ascended from. And that's how
they called you out.
Yeah. And then that dude realized he was caught and ran, and it was great. Like
he realized he was caught and ran. Oh, that's
like,
great.
and that, like it's just stuff like that you don't get to see on most of the, because what are you gonna do on a white show? Hey, you're not really white. Okay. Like you don't get anything about race in a comedic sense. You know what I mean? Like also, if a white person called out a light-skinned black person who's passing, guess what? It's not comedy anymore. It gets real dark real fast.
Yeah, but in a way, and this is not to say this is gonna come off super fucked up. I wish it was back to I wish all of the shows that you're talking about that we get were still on like specialty channels, but now that specialty channels are more accessible, we could get them, so on and so forth. Not BT, but like FX, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that all the regular network stuff that Joe Cracker hasn't figured out yet, that, you know what I mean, they can still get their stuff, because it's the reason why they're being subjected to all these different things and lunatics and shenanigans, why they're out here doing the crazy shit they're doing in America. Back in the 90s, they were docile because they had their TV. No one was fucking with their shit. They saw white people all the time. They didn't think anything was wrong with the world.
I don't want that.
You don't want that, sure. But the minute they realize, they're like, wait a minute, there's diversity on my screen. What's happening outside? That's what's going on.
Yeah, but that's a good thing, Skinny. Like, let them be mad. Like, I don't care if they're mad. We had to figure out a way to make them mad and also shut the fuck up. That's what we have to do.
I mean, but the collateral damage yeah, I hear you.
But I mean, because we did talk about it at the top of the show. But you know, like, putting more white faces on TV so that they sit quiet and docile and stop complaining isn't going to change the fact.
Not even to stop complaining. Stop doing random shit and just messing with people's laws and shit. Just chill.
But I mean, that's not going to change the fact. Like, you do realize that they planned this.
I know.
There was a plan. That's the crazy part.
I know.
Roe v. Wade being overturned was planned like 30 something years ago. They're just like, we have a plan. We're going to do this eventually. And everyone just kind of let it I feel bad saying that, but I truly do believe they let it happen, because if you knew the other side was working at overturning this, you needed to make it a law that the Supreme Court could not change their minds on. That to me is what you had to do, and they didn't do that, so that's a whole different thing. But all that to say, I like watching shows like Rutherford Falls. I like Reservation Dogs. I'm liking Gordita Chronicles. I'm liking all these shows. I like Loot with Maya Rudolph. Like, all these shows,
nice.
They're all super interesting. It's funny, and of course, Miss Marvel.
Like, oh wow,
it's the epitome of like South Asian action comedy, everything mixed into one, and it's fucking fantastic. Like, I didn't put it down for us to talk about in its entirety, but I haven't watched just in the sense of the list of all the cool shit that I'm seeing, I'm noticing less. I'm seeing less shows with white stars. Even last week's show that I talked about, Lazarus Project, that's a black dude.
Oh snap! Really?
Yeah, the star of that show is a black dude time traveling.
Oh man, you know how it goes for us.
He's not going to the past, obviously.
Okay, good, because you know how that.
But the joke, the whole thing, because at one point someone does say to him, like, he's like, "Oh, you guys could go back to the 1800s," and the South Asian girl goes, "I'm a brown woman. Why the fuck would I want to go back to the 1800s?" And you're like, yeah, that's hilarious.
If I go back to the 1800s, I'm bringing the biggest, fanciest gun I've ever seen to be like, yeah, in the future, we got these.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't say it, but a shout out to Umbrella Academy, season 3, solid story, good action.
I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, it was good. Season finale was great. I thought it was really well done. Some of it was a little cheesy, and I'm a little annoyed that the black guy disappears pretty early on. I'm not spoiling anything. Everyone disappears. Like, the whole point of this season is that everything starts to disappear. Once you start watching it, you'll see, but everyone starts to disappear from what's happening. So I'm not spoiling that he disappears. It's just annoying that he was one of the first ones, and it was so early on.
Well,
I know.
That's just,
I know.
They always squeeze some kind of craziness in there.
I know.
Oh, it's because you're good for the role.
Yeah.
Bet you they gonna show off the token blackie.
Oh God, but yeah.
No, we love you, Jay.
All right, kids. Geek news and rumors. Not a lot of geek news and rumors today, but you know what? I'll start off with Cameron Diaz is coming out of retirement for a Netflix film with Jamie Foxx.
Cameron Diaz is retired.
I was about to say.
She hasn't done a movie in maybe 5-10 years. I don't know. I can't remember the last time I saw the movie.
Props on saving your money and investing it well.
Yeah. I mean, but shout outs to her for coming back with something new. Because, a lot of the times when people come out of retirement, like the first thing I said to my buddy when him and I were talking about it was, well, I'm just happy she didn't come out of retirement to do a movie with Tom Cruise, for example. Oh, yeah. He's like, why do you say that? I'm like, because she did a movie with Tom Cruise already. She's never done a movie with Jamie Foxx. And that's why I'm like, okay, if you're going to come out of retirement, do it so that you come out of retirement to either work with someone you admire so much that you're like, holy shit, I definitely want to work with this person. Or someone that you're like, let's do this. I'm totally down to work with this person because it would be fun. And I feel like Jamie Foxx is one of those people that checks that box of like, he's a fun actor. It would be entertaining. Let's do this.
For the sake of argument, the last time she did something like a movie was 2014. She was part of a short in 2020 though.
Damn. No, well, that doesn't count. What was she in 2014?
She did a few things. One was Annie. One was Saturday Night Live. Well, being on Saturday Night Live, Sex Tape, and The Other Woman.
Oh, I think Sex Tape was the last because she stars in Sex Tape.
Yeah, like I think that's the last. I don't
2014,
remember
God
Annie.
Damn.
I don't. Yeah, and you're talking about Annie the Broadway.
You're wrong. You're wrong. Who told you that he was happy that he didn't do something with Jamie Foxx before?
Uh-oh.
Yeah, but in Annie, they're not starring together.
They're technically in the movie.
Is Cameron Diaz starring in Annie, or she just has a role?
No,
Like
she's part of the poster.
The main cast? Oh, my bad. They have done a movie together. Okay.
Oh man,
I didn't want to tear you down, but
No, that's fine. I did know that he was in Annie because he plays Warbucks.
Daddy Warbucks, yeah.
But I didn't
people
know,
were mad about that too.
Yeah, but I didn't know that she was in that movie. I didn't remember that she was in it at all. Okay, well, in that case, I'm happy that they're doing a movie together. You know what? My statement still stands though, because the other film that they did together, and yes, this is exactly it. Thank you to Darth. Night and Day is the movie that they did together with Tom Cruise and her. And I was hoping, like, Annie is a play, so essentially they just cast two popular actors in a play. It's not an original IP with two new things. I'm happy that she's coming out of retirement to do a new IP with Jamie Foxx. That's what I was trying to say. Annie as a play is everyone's done Annie.
Everyone's done Annie.
And then what do we? Hulu has canceled Woke. Speaking of them,
wait, what?
Why? Woke was a show starring Lamore from New Girl, starring as Keith Knight, the cartoonist. It had 2 seasons. Shasir Zameda was on it, and one of the dudes from Workaholics. I don't remember which one. Blake from Workaholics.
I was just about to get into that show because it keeps advertising it.
Yeah, I've never finished Workaholics, but I've always mentioned.
No, Woke. Workaholics I never finished.
Oh, Woke is great. I would still check it out. The first season is really well written, and the second season isn't as good as the first season, but it's still pretty funny. The first season is good because, like, they had a lot of good voice actors doing the inanimate objects, like JB Smoove, Cedric the Entertainer, like a lot of great black comedians voice like a marker, garbage pail, wind, like just all these different things start coming to life, and he starts seeing them, so he starts interacting with them, and that was really cool. So I would say check out Woke, at least the first season. Second, like, it's not like it needs a cliffhanger, so if you like the first season and you don't really care about the second season, you can just skip it.
Is the second season going to be like, do they end it properly? Like, I hate when they do that.
Yeah, there's no cliffhangers. The season's kind of just, the way the show ends is the seasons just end. It's just like, this happens, and then you're like, okay, this is resolved. All right, see you next season.
Is it another like 8 episode run type thing?
Yeah, not too long.
Damn, ADD. Give me back, bring back 13, man. Just
13. At least 13. I'm not mad at
24.
Fuck you niggas doing 8 episodes. What are you doing? Come on, man.
It's the British game, right? The Brits make 6 episodes.
At least, okay, strong 10. Yes, give me 10.
Fair.
Atlanta gave me 10. Give me 10. You're not gonna right?
I'll take a strong 10 over like so 13 any day.
Yeah, because British things is like, yeah, it's the British way, but British also be like, okay, Luther, and like, oh, won't see you for 6 years.
Yeah.
And I'm coming back with series 4, and you're supposed to care.
Yeah. And also, one of the things I say about the Brits is the Brits don't waste any scenes, whereas the Americans waste a lot of scenes. Like, sometimes there's scenes in American shows where people are just sitting down listening to music, and I'm like, don't get me wrong, I like that you guys needed your music person to have something to do that day, so they found that song for this scene. But I don't need to watch this character just sit down and listen to music.
Yeah, I'll give you this.
They Dragon Ball the shit out of things.
Well, more or less, clip shows don't exist in the BBC.
Right.
No.
It's not a thing.
No.
Not a thing.
Not a thing. And then 2 shows are coming back. Well, 1 show's coming back. 1 show got its trailer announced. Harley Quinn season 3 dropped its trailer, so people can go check that out.
I'm happy about that.
Yeah, I know. We were saying last season, I remember when we were talking about it, I was like, I'm good if it ends this way, but I don't mind a season 3. I know they did put a little bit of pressure on the studio by saying, like, they still haven't renewed us. So eventually people reacted, and I'm looking forward to it. And then Paper Girls, which is the comic book from Brian K. Vaughan, Prime is dropped their trailer for that.
Paper Girls, what's that about?
It's not a weird comic book, but it's a time traveling comic book. We reviewed it once and that's canon.
Yeah, don't tell anybody. Don't say anything too much, because guess what?
We're gonna play that episode.
The That's Canon episode is coming out Saturday.
Okay, well, there you go.
It's the lost tape episode. It's a podcast episode of That's Canon that we never released because it was actually never. Yeah, it was never edited. So we have that episode, and that's going to be coming out Saturday. So you guys, if you guys are interested, just wait till Saturday. You're going to be able to watch the trailer, and then you'll be able to listen to our episode of that. Dave and I have a wonderful battle, a judgment call, where he picked Starfire and I picked Pantera from the Titans. So both characters from Titans, and we have I was listening to the episode when I edited it. We have a very good debate. You were actually, funny enough, the next time we do Judgment Call, because that was the last episode we did, you actually are still docked 30 seconds because at the end of the episode, you still took a jab at my character. And Toby was just like, you're docked 30 seconds the next time we play.
I'm down.
We never
I'm
did
down.
it, so.
I'm down.
Wow.
Okay. You do one on this show and I'll take it off.
Yeah.
So
We'll have to do a judgment. You know what? We should do a judgment call on this show. Because there's at least 3 of us. So yeah, we'll do judgment call. Guys, that's pretty much it. That's the whole show. Anything you guys want to tell people? Anything you guys want to remind folks to check out?
Just remember that Montreal Comic Con is I'm
Like
installing the 8th to the 10th. Palais des Congrès. Come on down.
2, 3, 3, 1.
Big grind. Yeah, I'll be passing through because I'll be at work.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm gonna have my ninja mask on, my Darth Vader breathing mask, apparatus, keeping my oxygen clean. Don't forget also to go check out the Mega Ran episode. Is available on twitch.tv/Geektastic Cypher. You can also watch it. I keep forgetting. You could just go to @Geektastic Cypher on Twitter because the episode's also there. I forgot that we posted it up there. A lot of views on there actually.
Really?
Shout out to Mega Ran. Yeah, Mega Ran for sharing the episode, which I think really helped with visibility. So you guys want to go check it out? Go check it out. That's the whole show. We want to thank you guys for tuning in, and we're out. Peace, y'all.
Peace.